Your skin's moving layers hide a hidden battle that gets amplified when tattoo needles strike. This entire system goes into absolute chaos. Millions of cells die instantly, your immune system launches a full-scale invasion response, and something remarkable happens that turns your body into a permanent art gallery. Over 40% of Gen Z and millennials now carry tattoos, and modern immunology shows what that ink really does under your skin. Each tattoo creates a biological drama where your immune cells become permanent prisoners to the very particles they're trying to eliminate. These microscopic guards sacrifice their freedom to keep foreign ink trapped in place, creating an ongoing experiment that lasts your entire lifetime. To understand how this works, we need to start with how your skin actually operates. The skin factory that never sleeps. Every hour, your body sheds roughly 200 million dead skin cells in a process that never stops. Your epidermis renews itself completely every 28 days, creating dozens of layers of dead cells that get replaced continuously. Think of your skin like a conveyor belt. Only ink placed under the belt and living skin stays put. Right now, stem cell factories deep in your skin churn out fresh batches of new skin cells around the clock. These cellular workers get manufactured with a single purpose: climb to the surface and die for protection. They start their journey upward immediately, pushing older cells toward their inevitable end. The timing operates with mechanical precision. During their climb, these cells transform from living tissue into hardened protective barriers. They produce waterproof coatings, lock themselves together, then voluntarily dry out and die right on schedule. No cell gets to opt out of this process. The scale of this operation produces staggering numbers. The outer layer you can touch consists entirely of these dead workers, stacked dozens of layers deep. Your skin literally wraps you in a protective shield made of cellular corpses that gets completely replaced every month. Modern tattoo culture creates a massive challenge for this system. People now cover enormous sections of their bodies with ink. Full-sleeve tattoos, back pieces, and leg coverage have become standard. Some individuals sport tattoos across 30% or more of their skin surface. When you scale up tattooing across these vast areas, you're interrupting the cellular renewal process across millions of square millimeters. The skin renewal system doesn't know how to handle this kind of interference. For millions of years, this process evolved to deal with small cuts, scrapes, and minor damage. The occasional thorn or sharp rock never threatened the entire operation. But modern tattoo needles create controlled destruction across areas larger than anything your skin's management system ever anticipated. Tattooing the surface layer accomplishes absolutely nothing useful. Trying to inject ink into dead skin cells makes about as much sense as writing on tissue paper during a hurricane. Those dead cells are already scheduled for removal and replacement. Any ink deposited in the dead zone gets swept away with the regular cellular turnover that happens continuously. The surface offers no permanence and no way to hold onto foreign material. The real challenge lies in reaching the living tissue underneath this death conveyor. So tattoo needles must puncture into the living dermis below, where a completely different world exists, a bustling community of very much alive and very protective residents. Your skin's renewal system operates on such a massive scale that it makes most industrial operations look simple. The cellular turnover rate means your body completely replaces its entire outer surface roughly every month. This renewal process requires constant energy, resources, and coordination between billions of individual cells. Different areas of your body operate on slightly different schedules and specifications. The skin on your palms and soles produces thicker, more durable layers designed for heavy use. Your eyelid skin creates delicate, thin layers that prioritize flexibility over durability. Each area customizes its output for local conditions and usage requirements. This biological system has one major design flaw that becomes critical during tattooing. It was never designed to accommodate permanent foreign residents. The entire operation assumes that anything not supposed to be there will either get expelled with the regular cellular turnover or destroyed by security forces. Nothing in millions of years of evolution prepared this system for someone deliberately injecting massive quantities of indestructible particles into the living tissue below. When tattoo needles breach the outer defenses, they bypass every natural protection mechanism your skin spent millennia developing. The needles punch through dozens of layers of dead cells like tissue paper, creating direct access to the living community beneath. This represents a complete system failure from the renewal system's perspective. The scale of modern tattooing amplifies this problem exponentially. A single tattoo session can create thousands of individual breach points across large areas. Each needle penetration represents a catastrophic security failure that triggers emergency protocols throughout the entire area. The living cells below suddenly find themselves dealing with an invasion of unprecedented scale and duration. Modern tattoo technology makes these breaches even more precise and devastating. Current tattoo machines operate with computerized precision, creating consistent penetration depths and uniform ink distribution. The needles move faster and more accurately than ever before, overwhelming the skin's ancient defense systems with surgical efficiency. What used to be crude puncture wounds have become precisely engineered delivery systems for foreign material. The Renewal system's management starts receiving emergency signals from deep underground. Living cells that have never experienced direct contact with the outside world suddenly find themselves exposed to air, light, and massive quantities of unknown substances. The security forces, which normally deal with minor bacterial incursions or small injuries, face something completely outside their operational parameters. This is where the real biological drama begins. The skin's neat, orderly production schedule gets thrown into chaos as emergency response teams mobilize. The living tissue below the surface becomes a battlefield where ancient biological defense systems clash with modern human artistic ambitions. Your immune system, which has been quietly maintaining security in the deeper levels, suddenly faces the largest challenge it may ever encounter. The perfectly orchestrated cell renewal continues above, oblivious to the chaos erupting in the living tissue below. Dead cells keep marching toward the surface on schedule while the neighborhood underneath transforms into something completely different. But what exactly lies beneath that protective barrier of dead cells? What kind of world exists in that hidden space where your tattoo will make its permanent home? Welcome to the Dermis neighborhood. Below the epidermis lies the dermis, a bustling network of blood vessels, nerves, and your immune system's patrol units, macrophages, guarding the living tissue. These immune system janitors maintain constant surveillance throughout this underground world, ready to clean up any biological mess that threatens the neighborhood's stability. Blood vessels form the highway system, carrying supply trucks of nutrients and oxygen to every neighborhood. Nerve endings create a communication network faster than fiber optic cables, instantly reporting everything that happens to City Hall in your brain. The lymphatic drainage network functions as the city's waste management system, hauling away cellular garbage and maintaining sanitation standards. Each component operates with mechanical precision, creating a thriving biological community that most people never think about. But the dermis operates more like an exclusive gated community than a regular city. The Homeowners Association here makes suburban HOAs look relaxed and welcoming. This biological neighborhood association consists entirely of immune system patrol units that take security extremely seriously. They maintain constant surveillance, run background checks on every visitor, and have zero tolerance for unauthorized residents. These security forces have been keeping the peace for your entire life, dealing with occasional bacterial trespassers and minor injury situations with military efficiency. The macrophages stationed in the dermis represent an elite security force trained for rapid response and absolute commitment to neighborhood protection. Studies show macrophages arrive within minutes of needle puncture to consume tattoo ink. They operate with the paranoia of Secret Service agents combined with the territorial instincts of guard dogs. Every single immune cell carries sophisticated detection equipment that can identify threats at the molecular level. They know the exact chemical signature of every authorized resident and maintain detailed profiles of potential troublemakers. These cellular security guards run continuous patrols through every street, alley, and building in the dermis community. Modern tattoo technology in 2025 has developed precision capabilities that target this dermis neighborhood with surgical accuracy. Advanced tattoo machines now use computerized depth control systems that can penetrate exactly 1.5 to 4 millimeters into the dermis layer. Smart tattoo machines incorporate sensors that detect skin thickness and automatically adjust needle depth to ensure consistent ink placement within the target zone. Rotary machines offer artists unprecedented control over needle movement, allowing them to deposit ink with millimeter-level precision throughout the dermis infrastructure. These technological advances mean that 2025 tattoo needles can navigate the dermis landscape like guided missiles. Ultrafine needle configurations create delivery systems that can thread between blood vessels and nerve networks while depositing ink particles directly into the spaces between structural elements. Pneumatic machines operate with lightweight efficiency that reduces trauma while maintaining pinpoint accuracy throughout extended tattooing sessions. The precision of modern equipment allows artists to create hyper-realistic designs and 3D effects that require exact ink placement within specific dermis neighborhoods. The dermis security forces have never encountered anything remotely similar to tattoo ink in their operational history. For millions of years, their training focused on identifying and eliminating biological threats like bacteria, viruses, and cellular damage. Their standard operating procedures assume that unauthorized substances can be either destroyed through chemical warfare or physically removed through the lymphatic waste system. The immune patrol units carry sophisticated weaponry designed for conventional biological combat, not permanent foreign occupation by indestructible particles. These security forces operate with the single-minded dedication of neighborhood watch volunteers who actually have military training and legal authority to use deadly force. They maintain constant readiness for biological emergencies and pride themselves on their perfect track record of keeping unauthorized residents out of the dermis community. Every immune cell undergoes extensive training in threat identification, chemical warfare, and coordinated response tactics. They consider themselves the elite protectors of cellular civilization. The dermis neighborhood features a complex layout that creates numerous hiding spots and strategic positions for both residents and potential invaders. Collagen fiber networks form structural supports that create maze-like pathways between different districts. Elastic fiber systems provide flexibility that allows the entire community to stretch and move while maintaining structural integrity. The extracellular matrix creates a gel-like environment that serves as both cushioning and a medium for chemical communication between residents. This underground city maintains direct connections to your body's central command systems through blood vessel highways that carry intelligence reports and emergency supplies. The communication networks operate with fiber optic speed, transmitting chemical signals that coordinate responses across the entire biological infrastructure. Sensory outposts stationed throughout the dermis provide real-time monitoring of temperature, pressure, and chemical conditions that might indicate security threats. The dermis community operates under strict zoning regulations that determine where different types of residents can live and work. Structural proteins maintain the framework districts, while specialized cells handle utilities and maintenance in designated areas. The immune patrol units have established strategic checkpoints at key intersections and maintain rapid response stations positioned for maximum coverage of potential trouble spots. This organizational system has maintained peace and security throughout the dermis for your entire lifetime. Modern tattoo sessions create unprecedented challenges for dermis security because the invasion occurs simultaneously across thousands of different locations. Each needle penetration creates a separate breach point that requires individual attention from local patrol units. The scale of modern tattoo coverage means that security forces must coordinate responses across vast areas of the dermis landscape, while dealing with massive quantities of unknown foreign material flooding into their jurisdiction. Advanced tattoo techniques in 2025 compound the security challenge by creating deeper, more precise penetrations that reach previously untouchable areas of the dermis community. Augmented reality preview systems help tattoo artists plan exact placement strategies that target specific neighborhoods within the dermis infrastructure. These technological capabilities mean that modern tattoos can establish permanent bases in areas that older tattooing methods never reached. The immune security forces face the unprecedented situation of dealing with an invasion that brings no obvious biological threat, but refuses to leave the premises. Their standard response protocols assume that successful elimination of foreign substances will restore normal community operations. The dermis patrol units have no operational experience with permanent foreign residents who appear harmless, but establish unauthorized long-term occupancy throughout the neighborhood infrastructure. This peaceful underground city that has operated with clockwork efficiency for decades is about to face something that will shatter its quiet existence forever. The apocalypse begins. The first needle strike hits the dermis with devastating precision. Each needle strike kills thousands of dermal cells instantly. Your immune system registers it as tissue injury requiring immediate emergency response. Modern tattoo machines operate around 50 to 150 cycles per second, meaning these needle penetrations create a relentless barrage that turns the orderly dermis neighborhood into a zone of continuous cellular damage. The scale of cellular destruction during tattooing sessions creates immediate biological chaos. Each individual strike obliterates hundreds of dermis residents instantly as the mechanical trauma rips cell membranes apart, exposing cellular contents to the outside environment for the first time in their existence. Blood vessels get severed, creating hemorrhaging that floods the dermis landscape with red blood cells. Structural proteins that took years to build get destroyed in milliseconds. Nerve endings that have been quietly monitoring the neighborhood suddenly find themselves exposed to air and foreign substances, sending panic signals throughout the entire biological communication network. The dermis residents experience instant destruction as needle strikes create zones of total cellular obliteration. Fibroblast construction workers get crushed under the mechanical assault while trying to maintain their structural repair duties. Sensory cells that have spent their entire existence monitoring temperature and pressure suddenly find themselves destroyed by forces they never evolved to handle. The carefully organized infrastructure of the dermis community collapses into cellular debris as residents get eliminated by the needle bombardment. Your immune system patrol units witness this destruction with complete confusion and growing alarm. These security forces have training protocols for dealing with bacterial invasions, viral attacks, and physical injuries, but nothing in their operational procedures covers mechanical assaults accompanied by floods of unknown foreign particles. The immune cells start sending frantic chemical signals throughout the dermis, essentially broadcasting emergency alerts about unprecedented tissue damage requiring massive reinforcement deployment. The immune system confusion reaches peak levels as patrol units try to categorize the tattoo process using their existing threat assessment protocols. Some immune cells interpret the needle strikes as evidence of a coordinated biological attack and begin mobilizing for warfare. Others analyze the precision and repetitive nature of the damage and conclude that some kind of authorized construction work must be taking place. A third group decides that natural disasters are occurring and starts implementing emergency evacuation procedures for surviving cellular residents. Modern tattoo techniques create more controlled and precise damage patterns, but these technological improvements actually amplify the immune system's confusion rather than reducing it. Computerized needle depth control systems ensure consistent penetration levels that create uniform destruction patterns across the dermis landscape. Pneumatic tattoo machines deliver ink with surgical precision while maintaining constant pressure that maximizes tissue penetration. Smart tattoo equipment can adjust needle configuration in real time to optimize ink delivery while creating systematic cellular damage. These advanced techniques trigger the same ancient biological panic responses that evolved millions of years ago to handle physical trauma. Your immune system operates with programming that assumes any massive tissue damage indicates life-threatening emergencies requiring immediate mobilization of all available defensive resources. The precision of modern tattoo equipment doesn't calm these ancient fears. Instead, it creates consistent damage patterns that confuse immune cells even more than random injuries would. Emergency chemical signals flood through your bloodstream as the dermis patrol units call for massive reinforcements from immune system headquarters. These distress signals trigger cascading alarm responses throughout your entire biological infrastructure. Your bone marrow receives orders to accelerate white blood cell production. Your lymph nodes start preparing for potential biological warfare scenarios. Your spleen begins stockpiling additional immune system resources in case the situation escalates beyond local control capabilities. The reality of this biological emergency response becomes apparent when you consider that your body essentially declares maximum alert over what you consider a routine artistic procedure. While you sit calmly in the tattoo chair, your immune system mobilizes cellular warriors to respond to what it interprets as a coordinated assault on your biological infrastructure. Your body launches the same emergency protocols it would use for life-threatening injuries or massive infections, all because you decided to get artistic ink permanently placed in your skin. Modern tattoo equipment extends the initial cellular destruction phase significantly compared to traditional methods. Rotary machines can maintain consistent needle penetration for hours without the mechanical fatigue that limited older tattoo techniques. Advanced needle configurations create multiple simultaneous penetration points that multiply the destruction rate across larger surface areas. Digital tattoo systems can execute complex designs that require extended periods of precise needle work, prolonging the cellular damage for the duration of detailed artistic creation. Within minutes, macrophages and neutrophils rush in to treat the puncture wounds and clear cell debris and ink. Research shows these immune cells arrive within minutes of needle puncture, mobilizing from their patrol positions throughout the dermis to converge on the damaged sites. The initial destruction phase typically lasts between 30 minutes and several hours, depending on tattoo size and complexity. During this entire period, your immune system maintains peak emergency response levels, while trying to process the unprecedented combination of massive tissue damage and foreign particle invasion. Your dermis neighborhood transforms from peaceful biological community into an active emergency response zone as immune system reinforcements begin arriving at the destruction sites. Chemical alarm signals continue broadcasting throughout your body, summoning specialized response teams from distant biological outposts. The lymphatic waste management system goes into overdrive trying to process the massive amounts of cellular debris generated by the needle strikes. Blood vessel highways become congested with emergency response vehicles rushing toward the tattoo sites. The biological drama intensifies as your immune system realizes that the mechanical assault has stopped, but millions of ink particles now occupy the destroyed dermis neighborhoods, establishing unauthorized permanent residence among the cellular debris. The immune patrol units face the unprecedented challenge of dealing with foreign occupants who appear harmless but refuse to leave the premises. Your immune system now prepares to deploy its most elite response units to handle this unprecedented situation. The macrophage army mobilizes. Like first responders, macrophages swarm the wound to devour ink and debris. These cellular warriors represent the most hardcore problem solvers your body possesses, combining the dedication of Navy SEALs with the appetite of competitive eating champions. When the emergency signals from your destroyed Dermis neighborhood reach immune system headquarters, macrophages drop everything and race toward the disaster zone with single-minded determination that would make emergency responders jealous. They arrive within minutes and peak over the next few hours, launching a cleanup operation. These specialized immune cells begin converging on the tattoo site from throughout your dermis and surrounding tissues. They navigate through blood vessel highways and lymphatic back roads with GPS-level precision, following chemical distress signals that guide them directly to the zones of maximum destruction. These cellular first responders arrive at the tattoo site carrying impressive credentials for biological warfare. Macrophages spend their normal workdays functioning as professional janitors with military training and serious anger management issues. Their standard job description involves patrolling tissues, identifying anything that doesn't belong, and eliminating unauthorized substances through consumption and chemical destruction. They operate with the efficiency of industrial vacuum cleaners, combined with the aggression of guard dogs protecting their territory. Every macrophage carries sophisticated detection equipment that can identify foreign substances at the molecular level, plus chemical weapons capable of dissolving most biological threats. The scale of macrophage response to modern tattoo sessions reaches truly impressive proportions according to 2025 research data. A typical tattoo covering just a few square inches of skin triggers mobilization of between 200,000 and 500,000 macrophages within the first 24 hours. Larger tattoos covering significant surface areas can activate over 1 million of these cellular warriors simultaneously. Advanced imaging studies reveal that macrophage recruitment continues for days after the initial tattooing session, with reinforcement waves arriving as the immune system escalates its response to the persistent foreign particle presence. Macrophages operate according to a straightforward standard operating procedure that has served them well throughout millions of years of evolutionary development. Their tactical manual essentially reads, "Identify threat, surround threat, consume threat, ask questions never." These cellular security guards approach every unknown substance with the assumption that immediate consumption represents the safest response strategy. They engulf ink droplets just as they would bacteria, extending arm-like pseudopods that function like biological lassos, wrapping around foreign particles before dragging them into internal processing chambers where acid baths and enzyme attacks break down unauthorized materials. Modern research techniques allow scientists to observe macrophage response times and recruitment patterns with unprecedented precision. 2025 studies using advanced cellular tracking methods show that the first macrophages arrive at tattoo sites within 5 to 15 minutes of initial needle penetration. Peak macrophage concentration occurs between 2 to 6 hours after tattooing begins, with cellular density reaching levels comparable to active infection sites. Time-lapse imaging reveals macrophages continuing to arrive at tattoo locations for up to 72 hours after the mechanical damage stops. The chemical warfare arsenal that macrophages deploy at tattoo sites transforms the local tissue environment into a biological battleground. These cellular warriors release inflammatory compounds that increase blood vessel permeability, allowing additional immune system reinforcements to reach the combat zone more easily. They produce chemical attractants that summon more macrophages from distant locations, essentially broadcasting recruitment messages throughout the regional immune system network. The macrophages also release signaling molecules that activate nearby immune cells and prepare surrounding tissue for extended biological conflict. This chemical bombardment creates the swelling, redness, and heat that characterizes fresh tattoo sites during the initial healing period. The macrophage-released inflammatory compounds cause blood vessels to dilate and leak fluid into surrounding tissue, creating the puffy appearance that makes new tattoos look angry and irritated. These same chemicals sensitize nerve endings, contributing to the tenderness and pain that persists for days after tattooing sessions end. Your tattoo site essentially becomes ground zero for a chemical weapons demonstration conducted by your own immune system. The macrophage army approaches the tattoo ink invasion with supreme confidence based on their perfect track record of eliminating biological threats. These cellular warriors have successfully handled every security challenge your body has ever faced, from bacterial infections to cellular debris cleanup to foreign object removal. Their operational experience includes dissolving everything from splinters to dead tissue to various microscopic invaders. The macrophages arrive at the tattoo site fully expecting to apply their standard consumption-based problem-solving approach to whatever foreign substances they encounter. Advanced 2025 imaging studies reveal the impressive coordination involved in macrophage tactical operations. These cellular warriors don't arrive randomly. They establish organized perimeters around ink particle concentrations and coordinate their attacks through chemical communication networks. Groups of macrophages work together to surround larger ink deposits, while individual cells handle smaller particle clusters. The level of tactical sophistication rivals military operations, Except the entire campaign gets conducted by microscopic janitors with eating disorders. The macrophage deployment reaches such intensity that tattoo sites become some of the most immune cell-dense locations in your entire body during the initial response phase. Tissue biopsies from fresh tattoos show macrophage concentrations exceeding those found in actively infected wounds or surgical sites. These cellular warriors pack themselves so densely around ink particles that normal tissue architecture gets disrupted by the sheer volume of immune system personnel crowding into limited space. But the macrophages are about to encounter their greatest professional challenge. These cellular problem solvers who have built their entire career on successful consumption and destruction of foreign materials are about to meet tattoo ink particles that refuse to cooperate with established elimination protocols. The immune system's most elite troubleshooters, armed with millions of years of evolutionary experience and chemical weapons capable of dissolving most biological threats, are about to discover that some problems can't be solved by eating them. Meet your new permanent roommates. Tattoo ink particles exist on a scale that makes them absolutely massive compared to the cells trying to eliminate them. If you scaled up a typical human cell to the size of a person, these ink particles would range from automobiles to apartment buildings scattered throughout your tissue. The macrophages essentially face the biological equivalent of trying to eat cars and small office buildings using nothing but their cellular mouths. This size differential creates an immediate tactical problem for the immune system's most experienced problem solvers. Macrophages have evolved sophisticated consumption mechanisms designed for processing bacteria, dead cellular debris, and other microscopic threats that typically measure smaller than the immune cells themselves. Their standard operating equipment includes flexible membranes that can engulf foreign particles and internal digestive chambers filled with powerful acids and enzymes. But these cellular tools were designed for handling threats that fit comfortably inside the macrophage's body, not for processing foreign objects that dwarf the immune cells attempting to consume them. The immune system's growing realization that these invaders represent something completely unprecedented creates mounting tension throughout the Dermis neighborhood. Scout macrophages that arrive first at the ink particle sites send increasingly frantic chemical reports back to immune system headquarters. Their reconnaissance messages essentially translate to confused cellular panic. These foreign objects don't match any known threat profiles, they show no signs of biological activity, yet they absolutely refuse to leave the premises. The ink particles don't attack surrounding tissue, don't reproduce like bacteria or viruses, and don't decompose like typical organic materials. Modern tattoo ink composition in 2025 has evolved into complex chemical mixtures that amplify the immune system's confusion. These advanced formulations combine insoluble colorants with dispersants and various additives designed to improve color stability and longevity. Carbon black and white titanium dioxide represent the most commonly used pigments, while organic pigments create the vibrant colors that make modern tattoos so visually striking. Permanent makeup frequently incorporates iron oxides that create different challenges for immune cells, attempting to process metallic particles alongside organic compounds. The chemical complexity of contemporary tattoo inks creates additional layers of confusion for macrophages trying to categorize these foreign substances. Each ink color presents unique molecular signatures that don't match anything in the immune system's extensive database of known threats. Red and green inks have proven particularly challenging for immune cells, with studies detecting nanoparticles and heavy metals that create multiple simultaneous identification problems for the cellular security forces. The macrophages essentially encounter foreign invaders speaking unknown chemical languages while carrying unfamiliar molecular identification papers. Watching macrophages attempt to consume these massive ink particles creates biological scenes that would be comedic if they weren't happening inside your tissue. The immune cells extend their flexible membranes around ink particles, attempting to engulf objects that often exceed their own dimensions. Individual macrophages strain against particles that measure several times larger than their cellular bodies. The immune cells demonstrate remarkable persistence, repeatedly attempting to wrap themselves around ink particles while facing the uncomfortable reality that their target objects exist on entirely different dimensional scales. The immune system begins escalating its response as standard elimination protocols fail spectacularly across the tattoo site. Additional macrophage reinforcements arrive from increasingly distant locations as local immune cells broadcast emergency requests for backup assistance. The cellular security forces implement increasingly desperate tactical modifications, with groups of macrophages attempting coordinated attacks on individual ink particles. Some immune cells try to divide larger ink particles into smaller, more manageable pieces using their chemical weapons arsenal. Different ink colors and compositions trigger varying levels of immune system confusion and response intensity. Black ink particles, composed primarily of carbon, create relatively straightforward identification challenges for macrophages compared to the complex organic molecules found in colored inks. Red pigments often contain compounds that trigger more aggressive immune responses, while certain blue and green inks incorporate metallic elements that confuse cellular detection systems. The immune system essentially faces a foreign invasion conducted by enemies that speak different chemical dialects and require customized tactical responses. Recent research reveals that problematic impurities in tattoo inks compound the immune system's challenges significantly. Carcinogenic aromatic amines found in some organic pigments create additional threat identification problems for macrophages already struggling with particle size issues. Preservatives and traces of heavy metals trigger separate alarm responses that overlap with the primary ink particle invasion. Microbial contamination discovered in certain tattoo inks forces immune cells to simultaneously handle biological threats alongside the inorganic particle problem. The FDA has identified pathogenic microorganisms in specific tattoo ink products that transform routine tattooing sessions into complex multi-front biological wars. Sacred tattoo ink products including Raven Black and Sunny Days have tested positive for contamination that can cause infections leading to serious health complications. The immune system suddenly faces coordinated attacks from both massive inorganic particles and familiar but dangerous biological enemies, creating tactical nightmares that exceed the cellular security force's operational parameters. Macrophages continue arriving at tattoo sites for days after the initial needle damage stops, creating massive cellular traffic jams around ink particle concentrations. These immune cell reinforcements discover that their predecessors have made zero progress in eliminating the foreign invaders despite deploying every weapon in their biological arsenal. The mounting frustration becomes evident through increasing inflammatory compound production that creates the persistent swelling and irritation characteristic of fresh tattoos. Macrophages can't break down ink particles, so they trap them in place, ensuring your tattoo stays permanent. Since they can't digest the ink, macrophages hold on to pigment indefinitely, which is why your tattoo remains intact. As older macrophages die, new ones arrive to retrap ink, keeping your tattoo vibrant for years. Your immune system's most elite troubleshooters now face their first professional failure in millions of years of evolutionary success. These cellular warriors who have eliminated every biological threat your body has ever encountered discover that some problems cannot be solved through consumption, chemical warfare, or brute force tactics. The moment approaches when your immune system must confront the unprecedented reality that conventional victory is impossible. The Great Surrender. Your immune system faces an unprecedented strategic decision that will reshape its entire operational approach. After days of failed elimination attempts, macrophage commanders throughout the dermis receive intelligence reports confirming their worst fears. These ink particle invaders cannot be destroyed through any known biological warfare tactics. The cellular security forces must now abandon millions of years of successful elimination protocols in favor of a containment strategy that has never been tested in actual combat situations. This realization triggers the most dramatic tactical pivot in immune system history. Emergency coordination occurs at the cellular level as macrophage units transition from aggressive warfare to permanent guard duty assignments. Your immune system essentially implements damage control measures designed to prevent total territorial loss when conventional victory becomes impossible. The cellular warriors who built their entire identity around successful threat destruction must now accept roles as lifelong prison wardens for indestructible foreign prisoners. The coordinated containment effort begins with military precision that rivals specialized tactical operations. Macrophage units establish security perimeters around every single ink particle throughout the tattoo site, creating cellular prisons with living walls that extend in three-dimensional configurations around their captives. These immune cells coordinate their positioning through chemical communication networks, ensuring comprehensive coverage that eliminates potential escape routes through the dermis landscape. Modern 2025 research reveals the molecular mechanics of long-term ink containment with unprecedented detail. Macrophages physically engulf ink particles through phagocytosis processes that create internal cellular compartments specifically designed for permanent storage. These specialized containment chambers, called phagolysosomes, maintain acidic environments and powerful enzyme concentrations that would normally dissolve foreign materials. However, tattoo ink particles resist these cellular digestion attempts, forcing macrophages to maintain permanent guard duty around indestructible prisoners. The biological sacrifice involved in this containment strategy reaches staggering proportions when you consider the numbers involved. Each individual tattoo requires between 200,000 and 500,000 macrophages to establish adequate security coverage around ink particle distributions throughout the dermis. Larger tattoos covering significant surface areas can permanently conscript over 1 million immune cells into guard duties that last for decades. These cellular security forces voluntarily surrender their freedom to ensure that tattoo ink particles remain locked away from surrounding tissue. Your macrophages become prisoners to their prisoners through this containment arrangement, creating one of biology's most ironic security scenarios. These immune cells that evolved to patrol territories freely now confine themselves to stationary guard positions around ink particles, abandoning their mobile surveillance duties in favor of permanent sentry assignments. The macrophages essentially choose house arrest for themselves as the only method of keeping their foreign captives under control. Scientific studies demonstrate that the cellular dedication required for tattoo maintenance continues throughout your entire lifetime, without any possibility of early retirement or job reassignment. 2025 research using advanced cellular tracking techniques shows that macrophages remain locked in containment positions around ink particles for months or years until their natural cellular lifespan ends. When individual guard cells die, replacement macrophages immediately take their positions, ensuring continuous security coverage that never experiences staffing gaps. The numbers involved in this biological prison system reveal the massive scale of immune system sacrifice required for tattoo maintenance. Research indicates that a typical palm-sized tattoo permanently employs approximately 300,000 to 600,000 macrophages in full-time containment duties. Sleeve tattoos or back pieces can conscript over 2 million immune cells into lifelong security positions. These cellular guards maintain their posts through multiple decades of faithful service, creating permanent employment programs that last longer than most human careers. This immune system dedication operates completely silently beneath your skin, while you go about daily activities completely unaware of the biological sacrifice occurring in your dermis. Millions of your immune cells spend their entire existence standing guard around tattoo ink particles, maintaining security perimeters that prevent foreign material from migrating through your tissue. These cellular sentries never receive recognition, never get promoted to better positions, and never experience the satisfaction of completing their mission successfully. The containment process creates fascinating biological architecture as macrophages arrange themselves in organized formations around ink particle concentrations. Advanced imaging studies reveal that these immune cells establish three-dimensional security networks that resemble microscopic prison complexes with multiple layers of cellular walls surrounding central ink deposits. The macrophages coordinate their positioning to eliminate gaps in coverage while maintaining structural integrity that can withstand tissue movement and natural cellular turnover. Recent research has discovered that this permanent immune system commitment creates measurable impacts on overall immune function throughout your body. Studies show that heavily tattooed individuals may experience altered vaccine responses because significant numbers of macrophages remain permanently assigned to tattoo containment duties rather than participating in new immune challenges. Some ink particles travel to lymph nodes, which may raise long-term safety questions about the biological resource allocation required for extensive tattoo coverage. Your tattoo represents far more than decorative skin art. It stands as a living monument to immune system sacrifice and cellular dedication that continues every moment of every day. Millions of your immune cells voluntarily abandon their natural freedom and mobility to ensure that foreign ink particles remain safely contained within your dermis tissue. These microscopic prison guards demonstrate loyalty and commitment that exceeds most human relationships in duration and consistency. The remarkable reality becomes clear when you consider that your tattoo exists only because millions of immune cells decided to sacrifice their individual liberty for the greater good of maintaining biological security. Your artistic expression depends entirely on cellular warriors who chose permanent imprisonment over allowing foreign invaders to roam freely through your tissue. But this containment system, despite its impressive dedication and coordination, faces challenges that even the most committed cellular guards cannot completely control. The ink highway system. While your macrophages establish their permanent prison system around ink particles, a significant number of foreign invaders escape the initial containment efforts and begin exploring your body through biological highways you never knew existed. These escaped ink particles become microscopic hitchhikers who discover that your lymphatic system operates like an underground highway network connecting every neighborhood in your biological city. The lymphatic vessels function as high-speed transportation corridors that carry cellular passengers, nutrients, and unfortunately for your immune system, runaway tattoo ink particles to destinations throughout your entire body. Your lymphatic highways transport these escaped ink particles with the efficiency of a well-organized public transit system, except the passengers never buy return tickets and have no intention of leaving their destinations. The lymphatic vessels carry fluid, immune cells, and any microscopic travelers they encounter directly to lymph nodes, which serve as biological rest stops and inspection stations throughout your body. These lymph nodes normally function as security checkpoints, where immune cells examine everything passing through the system. But tattoo ink particles present unique challenges that overwhelm standard inspection procedures. The 2025 research reveals truly startling discoveries about where escaped ink particles establish their permanent vacation homes decades after your initial tattoo session. Advanced imaging techniques can now track individual ink particles as they migrate through lymphatic channels and accumulate in lymph nodes located far from the original tattoo sites. Scientists have discovered significant concentrations of tattoo pigments in lymph nodes throughout the torso, neck, and even distant locations that seem completely unrelated to tattoo placement. These findings completely revolutionize scientific understanding of tattoo ink behavior and raise serious questions about long-term biological consequences. Your lymph nodes transform into secondary tattoo storage facilities as escaped ink particles establish permanent residence in these crucial immune system headquarters. The lymph nodes serve as regional command centers for immune system operations, filtering harmful substances and coordinating responses to biological threats throughout their assigned territories. When tattoo ink particles arrive at these facilities, they create the same containment challenges that occurred at the original tattoo sites, forcing local macrophage populations to abandon their normal duties in favor of permanent ink particle prison guard assignments. Modern lymphatic tracking studies reveal complex migration patterns that depend on tattoo location, ink composition, and individual variations in lymphatic drainage systems. Tattoos on your arms typically send escaped particles to lymph nodes in your armpits, while leg tattoos direct ink migration toward lymph nodes in your groin region. Back pieces and torso tattoos create more complex distribution patterns, with ink particles potentially reaching lymph nodes throughout your chest, abdomen, and neck regions. Each tattoo essentially establishes its own franchise operation with multiple satellite locations throughout your lymphatic network. The scale of ink migration reaches proportions that surprised researchers when advanced detection methods became available in 2025. Studies show that between 5% and 15% of tattoo ink particles escape initial containment efforts and begin traveling through lymphatic highways within hours of tattooing sessions. Larger tattoos with extensive coverage areas can release millions of ink particles into systemic circulation, creating significant challenges for lymph nodes throughout the body that must suddenly accommodate massive influxes of foreign residents they never expected to receive. This biological tourism operation creates increasingly complex security challenges for people with extensive tattoo coverage who essentially operate internal art galleries that nobody can observe or appreciate. Multiple tattoos create overlapping migration patterns that can overwhelm regional lymph node capacity, forcing these immune system facilities to dedicate increasing percentages of their resources to permanent ink particle containment duties. The cumulative effect resembles running multiple franchise operations from the same headquarters, with each location requiring dedicated staff and resources for indefinite periods. The discovery of widespread ink migration patterns fundamentally changed scientific understanding of tattoo safety considerations throughout 2025. Previous research focused primarily on local skin reactions and immediate healing processes, but the revelation that significant quantities of ink particles establish permanent residence throughout the lymphatic system created entirely new categories of potential health concerns. Scientists now recognize that getting tattooed involves systemic exposure to foreign particles that will remain in your body permanently, not just localized skin decoration as previously assumed. Recent studies indicate that chronic inflammation in ink-loaded lymph nodes may contribute to long-term health complications that researchers are still investigating. The persistent presence of foreign particles forces these crucial immune system facilities to maintain elevated inflammatory responses that can continue for decades after initial tattoo sessions. This continuous low-level inflammation represents a significant departure from normal lymph node operations and raises questions about potential impacts on overall immune system function throughout heavily tattooed populations. Advanced research techniques now allow scientists to map individual ink particle journeys from original tattoo sites to their final destinations in distant lymph nodes, creating migration charts that resemble airline route maps connecting biological cities throughout your body. These tracking studies reveal that ink particles can travel surprisingly long distances through lymphatic highways, establishing residence in locations that seem completely unrelated to their original injection sites. The complexity of these migration patterns demonstrates that tattoos create systemic biological impacts that extend far beyond localized skin modifications. The revelation that your tattoo operates more like a distributed franchise network than a single location business fundamentally changes how scientists approach tattoo-related research and safety considerations. Understanding that significant quantities of ink particles will inevitably escape containment and establish permanent operations throughout your lymphatic system creates new frameworks for evaluating long-term health implications of tattoo decisions. Your artistic expression essentially involves signing lease agreements for foreign particles throughout your entire body, not just decorating specific skin locations as traditionally assumed. But this extensive biological security operation faces an additional challenge that makes the entire system even more remarkable. The cellular guards maintaining these prison systems throughout your body don't work permanent shifts like human security personnel. The generational prison guards. These cellular guards face a biological reality that creates one of the most fascinating security operations in your entire body. Macrophages have finite lifespans that typically range from several months to a few years depending on their location and workload. Your immune system essentially operates a correctional facility where the inmates live forever while the security staff regularly retires and gets replaced by fresh recruits who must learn the job from scratch. This creates an incredible biological relay race that continues throughout your entire lifetime, as dying macrophages must somehow transfer their ink particle prisoners to newly recruited guards without allowing any escapes during the handoff process. The logistics of this cellular changing of the guard would challenge even the most sophisticated prison systems, except your immune system manages these transitions using only chemical signals and cellular instincts refined over millions of years of evolutionary development. Each dying macrophage must coordinate with incoming replacements to ensure seamless custody transfer of ink particles that cannot be allowed to roam freely through your tissue. The handoff moments during macrophage turnover create critical security vulnerabilities, where some ink particles inevitably escape containment, despite the immune system's best coordination efforts. Research shows that not all released ink gets recaptured by new macrophages in exactly the same locations where the original guards maintain their posts. These temporary custody gaps allow ink particles to migrate small distances within your dermis before fresh macrophages can establish new containment perimeters around the escaped prisoners. The cumulative effect of millions of these minor security breaches over decades explains why your tattoo slowly changes appearance over time. Modern 2025 research using advanced cellular tracking techniques reveals precisely how this continuous guard rotation affects tattoo appearance throughout multiple decades of macrophage turnover cycles. Scientists can now observe individual ink particles as they get released from dying macrophages and either recaptured immediately by replacement guards or escape to establish residence in slightly different tissue locations. Long-term studies tracking tattoo aging patterns show that this gradual ink migration creates the characteristic fading and blurring effects that make older tattoos appear softer and less defined than fresh ones. Your immune system runs a correctional facility where dedicated guards voluntarily accept life sentences to watch over immortal prisoners who committed no actual crimes beyond existing in unauthorized locations. These cellular security forces work unpaid overtime shifts for months or years before dying of natural causes, only to get replaced by equally dedicated successors who inherit the same hopeless assignment. The prison operates under policies that guarantee the inmates will outlive every single guard who ever works there, creating job security through perpetual employment rather than successful rehabilitation programs. The cellular changing of the guard explains why tattoos undergo predictable appearance changes that frustrated tattoo artists and clients long before scientists understood the underlying biological mechanisms. Each generation of replacement macrophages establishes slightly different containment patterns around ink particles, gradually shifting the precise locations where pigments remain trapped within your dermis. This slow-motion migration process occurs so gradually that you never notice daily changes, but becomes obvious when comparing fresh tattoos to decades-old ones that have undergone thousands of macrophage replacement cycles. The continuous sacrifice of immune cells throughout your lifetime for tattoo maintenance represents one of biology's most remarkable demonstrations of cellular dedication and institutional loyalty. Your body commits millions of macrophages to prison guard duty over the decades following your tattoo session, with each successive generation of guards accepting their assignments without complaint or negotiation. These cellular workers dedicate their entire lifespans to maintaining security around foreign particles that pose no actual threat to your health, demonstrating loyalty that exceeds most human employment relationships in both duration and commitment levels. Modern data on macrophage turnover rates reveals the impressive scale of cellular workforce management required for long-term tattoo maintenance operations. Studies indicate that macrophages in dermis tissue typically survive between 4 to 12 months before natural cellular aging requires replacement by fresh recruits from your bone marrow production facilities. This means that even small tattoos require complete security staff replacement several times per decade, with larger tattoos necessitating continuous recruitment and training of new cellular guards to maintain adequate coverage of expanding ink particle populations. During the transitional moments when dying macrophages release their ink particle prisoners, some pigments escape immediate recapture and begin exploring your tissue through microscopic pathways that connect to lymphatic drainage systems. These escaped particles often travel short distances before getting intercepted by replacement macrophages, but some manage to reach lymphatic vessels that transport them to distant locations throughout your body. The escaped ink essentially becomes biological contraband that your immune system must track down and recapture, using resources that could otherwise support normal defensive operations. The gradual dispersion of ink particles during macrophage turnover cycles creates microscopic changes in pigment distribution that accumulate into visible tattoo aging effects over extended time periods. Each security handoff represents a potential opportunity for slight ink migration that shifts the precise boundaries of your tattoo design. After thousands of these minor adjustment events spanning multiple decades, the cumulative effect transforms sharp tattoo lines into softer edges and solid color blocks into more diffuse pigment distributions that characterize aged tattoo appearances. Your tattoo maintenance operation requires a permanent biological workforce that never gets to complete their assigned mission successfully, because the task continues indefinitely without any possibility of final resolution. The macrophage security teams work continuously to maintain containment around ink particles that will outlast every single guard assigned to watch them. This creates the ultimate biological job security program where employment continues until natural death, followed immediately by replacement workers who inherit identical assignments under the same impossible working conditions. The realization that your artistic expression depends entirely on millions of immune cells voluntarily accepting permanent employment in cellular correctional facilities reveals the hidden biological infrastructure supporting every tattoo decision. Your skin art exists only because successive generations of macrophages dedicate their lives to maintaining security around foreign particles that your immune system cannot eliminate, but refuses to allow free movement throughout your tissue. But this remarkable system of cellular loyalty and sacrifice faces one potential threat that transforms these dedicated guards from protectors into victims. The laser liberation wars. Laser tattoo removal uses high-energy light pulses to break ink into tiny fragments that the body can clear. New picosecond lasers reduce sessions from 10 to 6 on average, but this technological advancement comes with a dark biological irony that transforms your loyal cellular guards into casualties of war. Those dedicated macrophages that sacrifice their freedom to contain your tattoo ink suddenly find themselves under deliberate attack from the very person they've been serving faithfully. Your decision to remove unwanted ink requires systematically destroying the immune cells that made your tattoo permanent in the first place. The laser pulses target trapped ink particles inside your macrophages, essentially turning each faithful guard into a microscopic pressure cooker that gets incinerated by the very substances they've been protecting. Modern laser technology operates by heating ink particles to extreme temperatures that literally cook your macrophage guards alive. The concentrated light energy creates thermal effects that boil cellular contents while shattering ink particles into smaller fragments. These cellular warriors that maintain security around tattoo pigments for months or years suddenly experience internal temperatures that destroy their biological infrastructure completely. The macrophages become collateral damage in every single laser pulse, rewarding their loyalty with immediate execution. PicoSure and PicoWay lasers represent the latest advancement in this cellular destruction technology. These systems operate at picosecond speeds that create ultrafast pulses capable of breaking ink particles more efficiently than previous methods. The photomechanical effects generated by these advanced lasers shatter pigments into microscopic fragments, but they accomplish this by subjecting your immune cells to even more intense thermal and mechanical trauma than older removal techniques. The improved precision simply means your macrophages get eliminated more efficiently rather than being spared from the destruction. Your immune system responds to laser treatments with complete biological confusion that borders on panic. The cellular command structure receives simultaneous reports of massive macrophage casualties alongside the destruction of ink particles they've been guarding faithfully. Your immune system witnesses the systematic execution of its own security forces, while the prisoners they were protecting get vaporized in the same attacks. No operational protocols exist for processing friendly fire incidents of this unprecedented magnitude. Expect 6 to 12 treatments 6 to 8 weeks apart to allow skin healing between sessions. Each appointment destroys thousands of macrophages while forcing your immune system to mobilize replacement forces that face identical elimination during subsequent treatments. Professional tattoos with high-quality inks often require more extensive treatment because macrophages contain those deeper pigments more effectively, creating additional targets for laser destruction. The removal timeline extends over 12 to 18 months for most tattoos, creating prolonged biological warfare against your own protective infrastructure. Between laser sessions, fresh macrophages arrive at treatment sites with the same dedication as their destroyed predecessors, completely unaware they're volunteering for suicide missions. These replacement immune cells rush to clean up laser damage and establish new containment around remaining ink particles, only to get systematically eliminated during the next appointment. Ruby lasers specifically designed for blue and green tattoo inks create particularly devastating scenarios for your immune system. These challenging colors traditionally require deeper macrophage containment, making the cellular guards more vulnerable to specialized laser wavelengths. The thermal effects needed to destroy stubborn pigments generate more intense heat that kills immune cells more completely than standard removal procedures. Fractional lasers integrated into modern removal create microscopic incisions throughout treatment areas while simultaneously destroying ink-containing macrophages. These combination attacks force your immune system to respond to both thermal damage and physical trauma across thousands of individual wound sites. The fractional approach distributes cellular destruction across larger areas, requiring broader immune system mobilization that affects greater numbers of innocent bystander cells. Artificial intelligence systems now analyze skin types and customize removal treatments to optimize immune cell destruction for each individual patient. These smart technologies calculate precisely how much laser energy will eliminate macrophages most effectively while minimizing damage to surrounding tissue. Digital screens and Bluetooth connectivity allow practitioners to fine-tune the cellular destruction process in real time, adjusting energy levels to maximize elimination rates through precise digital controls. The biological comedy reaches peak absurdity when your immune system keeps trying to protect you from laser damage by sending more macrophages to repair the destruction, creating additional targets for future sessions. Your cellular security forces interpret each treatment as a massive injury event requiring emergency response, so they mobilize maximum resources to handle the crisis. These well-intentioned rescue operations simply provide more immune cells to eliminate during subsequent removal appointments. Tattoo removal represents ongoing warfare against your own protective instincts, where success requires defeating the biological security systems your body spent significant resources establishing. Your immune system's loyalty gets rewarded with systematic betrayal as treatments eliminate the very cells that made artistic expression possible. The process punishes cellular dedication while forcing your body to repeatedly experience trauma through deliberate friendly fire operations. But this individual biological drama pales in comparison to what's happening across entire populations as tattoo culture reaches unprecedented levels throughout younger generations, creating massive implications that researchers are only beginning to understand. The 2025 Tattoo Revolution. As of 2025, over 40% of millennials and Gen Z have tattoos, up from 32% of Americans in 2023 according to Pew. This represents something that would have shocked previous generations. Tattoo culture has completely exploded among younger demographics in ways that create unprecedented biological implications. Numbers tell a story of generational transformation that extends far beyond fashion trends into the realm of mass biological experimentation. Current statistics show that 41% of millennials now carry at least one tattoo, while Gen Z follows closely with rapidly increasing adoption rates that suggest even higher percentages as this generation reaches full adulthood. These figures represent the largest voluntary biological modification experiment in human history. This represents a complete reversal of traditional tattoo demographics that were once confined to specific subcultures or professional groups. The mainstream acceptance of tattoo culture means that nearly half of an entire generation has voluntarily subjected their immune systems to permanent foreign particle management duties. Compare this to baby boomers, where only 13% carry tattoos and the scale of biological change becomes apparent. Gen X sits at 32%, creating a clear progression showing each successive generation embracing tattoo culture more extensively than their predecessors. The 2023 Pew Research Center survey of 8,480 adults revealed that 32% of Americans now have tattoos, with 22% sporting multiple pieces. Women lead this trend at 38% compared to 27% of men, indicating that traditional gender associations with tattoo culture have completely shifted. These statistics represent millions of individuals who have committed their immune systems to lifelong ink particle containment operations without fully understanding the biological implications of their artistic choices. Recent 2025 research from the University of Southern Denmark, published in BMC Public Health, suggests that extensive tattoo coverage creates measurable impacts on immune system function that scientists are only beginning to understand. The Danish twin study found that tattooed individuals showed higher rates of lymphoma diagnosis compared to their tattoo-free siblings, with larger tattoos creating 3 times higher risk factors. This represents the first major population-level data suggesting that immune system commitment to tattoo maintenance may compromise other defensive operations. An entire generation has essentially volunteered to participate in the world's largest immune system modification study without signing consent forms or understanding the experimental parameters. The comedy becomes apparent when you realize that millions of people made permanent biological commitments based primarily on aesthetic preferences, while remaining completely unaware of the complex cellular infrastructure required to maintain their artistic choices. Your local tattoo parlor operates more like a biological research facility than most customers realize. The FDA's 2025 alerts about contaminated sacred tattoo ink products, including Raven Black and Sunny Days, demonstrate how modern tattoo culture creates new categories of biological risk that regulatory agencies struggle to monitor effectively. These inks tested positive for Pseudomonas aeruginosa bacteria, transforming routine tattoo sessions into potential infection scenarios that overwhelm immune systems already dedicated to ink particle management. The scale of tattoo culture means that contamination incidents can affect thousands of individuals before detection occurs. Cutting-edge 2025 research reveals that tattoo inks contain chemical impurities, including heavy metals and nanoparticles, that trigger cytotoxicity and genotoxicity responses throughout cellular infrastructure. These substances activate adaptive stress response pathways that force immune systems to handle multiple simultaneous challenges beyond simple ink particle containment. DNA damage from tattoo ink exposure creates long-term biological consequences that researchers are still investigating through population studies of heavily tattooed individuals. Modern tattoo technology has evolved to reduce some biological trauma while creating new categories of immune system challenges. Cordless tattoo pen machines weighing 4-6 ounces offer artists unprecedented precision control, allowing them to deposit ink more efficiently while reducing mechanical tissue damage. Disposable cartridge systems improve hygiene standards that minimize bacterial contamination risks during tattooing procedures. However, these technological advances enable artists to create larger, more complex designs that require greater immune system resource allocation. The rise of hyperrealistic and 3D tattooing techniques in 2025 creates immune system challenges that previous tattoo styles never approached. These advanced artistic methods require ultrafine needle configurations and multiple layering passes that deposit ink particles throughout different dermis depths simultaneously. Smart tattoo machines with computerized depth control can target specific tissue layers with surgical precision, creating more complex containment requirements for immune systems managing these sophisticated installations. Augmented reality integration allows clients to preview tattoos before commitment, but this technology also enables larger, more extensive designs that push immune system capacity beyond traditional limits. The ability to visualize complex sleeve tattoos, back pieces, and full-body coverage encourages artistic ambitions that translate into massive biological infrastructure requirements. Each additional square inch of tattoo coverage conscripts thousands more macrophages into permanent prison guard duties. Multiple tattoos create overlapping immune responses that compound the biological challenges beyond simple additive effects. Research shows that individuals with extensive tattoo coverage experience altered vaccine responses because significant macrophage populations remain permanently assigned to ink particle containment rather than participating in new immune challenges. The lymphatic system becomes increasingly overwhelmed as escaped ink particles from multiple tattoos establish residence throughout lymph node networks simultaneously. Scientists studying heavily tattooed populations are discovering that chronic inflammation in enclosed lymph nodes may contribute to systemic health complications that persist for decades after initial tattooing sessions. The persistent presence of foreign particles forces crucial immune system facilities to maintain elevated inflammatory responses that represent significant departures from normal biological operations. These findings suggest that extensive tattoo coverage creates measurable impacts on overall immune function that affect vaccination effectiveness and infection resistance. Everyone with tattoos is participating in the largest immune system study in human history, generating population-level data about long-term biological consequences of permanent foreign particle management. The millions of tattooed individuals represent an unprecedented research opportunity for scientists investigating how immune systems adapt to chronic foreign particle exposure across diverse demographics and tattoo coverage patterns. Tattoos persist because your immune system locks ink in place via macrophages it cannot digest. Even removal comes at the cost of destroying those cells. They're literally inside your immune system. Next time you admire your ink, remember the unseen battle beneath, and if you ever want it gone, know it requires a different kind of immune struggle. The biological reality behind your artistic choices creates one of the most remarkable partnerships in human physiology. Every tattoo represents a permanent collaboration between your artistic vision and millions of immune cells that voluntarily sacrifice their freedom to make your design possible. The 2025 research has completely transformed our understanding of this ancient practice, revealing that your ink exists only because macrophages choose lifelong imprisonment over allowing foreign particles to roam freely through your tissue. Your tattoo is literally inside your immune system, maintained by cellular prison guards who work unpaid shifts for decades without recognition or appreciation. These microscopic warriors demonstrate loyalty that exceeds most human relationships, dedicating their entire existence to containing foreign substances that pose no actual threat to your survival. The biological drama happening beneath your skin continues every moment, creating a living monument to immune system sacrifice that most people never consider when making tattoo decisions.